Hi, I'm Mark Toole with 8020service.com, and today's customer service video question of the day again comes from Quora, and the question is kind of an obvious one to me. Is there such a thing as too many chargebacks? Yes. In my opinion, and I think I'm correct about this, a lot of businesses probably think this is impossible, and maybe it is, but in my opinion, any chargebacks are too many chargebacks. Is there such a thing as too many? Absolutely. Even if you don't agree with me about the number being one chargeback is too many chargebacks, of course it's too many. Even if you ignore all the other consequences that might go along with this sort of thing, think of it this way. When a customer files a chargeback, they're telling their credit card company that you, the business, stole from them, fraudulently charged them, in some capacity, shouldn't have charged them this money to their credit card, and that you're in the wrong, and then, of course, that the money should be taken back from your account and given back to the customer, plus fees that go along with that as charged to you, the merchant. So, of course, there's such a thing as too many chargebacks. Imagine you had, let's take an extreme example, 100% of your customers filed chargebacks. All your money that you made was taken back from you, and you now owe the credit card company fees for those chargebacks. Yeah, that's too many chargebacks. Now, whether you want to argue about whether 50% or 20% or 10% or 2% or 1% is too many, that's not really what I'm here to talk about. The clear answer to the basic question here is yes, there is such a thing as too many chargebacks. That number is much lower than you may think. In fact, you probably already know this, but most if not all credit card companies, credit card processors, whatever you're using to accept these credit card payments, have some limit, some threshold on chargebacks. And if you get more than a certain percentage, and I think it's usually low, single-digit percentages, then you are a high-risk business. If it continues, if you don't do something about it, they can and will revoke your service. You will not be able to take credit cards anymore. Business I worked with in the past, basically somehow this was getting ignored. All the American Express chargebacks were getting ignored, and they lost the ability to accept American Express cards. American Express says, we're not working with you anymore. Too many chargebacks. You're losing all these chargebacks. We don't want to do business with you anymore. Now, we were able to talk to them. We were able to get that worked out. We got the whole thing figured out. We were able to, through my efforts, start taking American Express again and get chargebacks under control there once we figured out how to access the thing. But, point is, you can lose your credit card processors if you have too many chargebacks. Now, the obvious thing there, of course, is what can you do to prevent chargebacks? Well, a lot of things, and I talked about that before. I talk about that on the website, 8020service.com. You could prevent them, and you should. The key, actually, to my customer service approach, my system, what I do for clients, what I teach people, is to, the website's called 8020service for a reason. The guide, the 8020 service guide, again, for a reason, 8020, you do certain things that have large impacts on everything else. In this case, the things that you do to improve customer satisfaction, improve customer service, decrease management time, increase profits, and yes, reduce and win chargebacks, not so much win, but let's say reduce or prevent chargebacks, are mostly the same things. You do a few certain things correctly and well, and you prevent most chargebacks from ever happening. Why? Because the idea of a chargeback, of course, is that if there's fraud, if somebody steals the customer's card and uses it to buy your thing, or if you are a dishonest business and they try to buy a thing for $7 and you charge them $7,000, so they have recourse there. Now, in practice, I'm assuming you're not blatantly stealing from your customers. I'll also tell you that actual fraud in the sense of a stolen credit card being used is so rare that it's basically non-existent. I've seen maybe 5 examples in my entire career that might have been that. Most of the time, it's one of two things. Customers forgot they were going to be charged for something, or customers knew they were going to be charged for something, bought a thing, and then filed a chargeback to basically get their money back, get the thing for free, get your product, get your service, and then get their money back as well. I've seen it when if you have a refund policy and somebody's outside of the refund period, they're denied a refund. Oh, just file a chargeback then. Yeah, and a lot of businesses, most businesses I've seen, in fact, in my experience, just sort of ignore those things. Meaning chargebacks. They don't check them. They don't do anything. When they get one, they just go, and just click accept or ignore it until they lose anyways, or they throw some slap together garbage response at it that, of course, they'll end up losing. My approach, what I do really, is all the things necessary to prevent those chargebacks from happening. Those things also, of course, have other positive benefits in your business. They're basically under the category of doing business correctly and honestly, but there's also things in there that, I'm not saying everybody having a problem with this is dishonest. There's just things that people don't think about until they need to think about them, until they get thrown into a chargeback hell situation like I had to deal with a couple years ago, and then you figure this stuff out. The other thing then is when you do everything right, the chargebacks that you do get are most likely going to be one of those two things I described. Customers who forgot about something, which there is a lot you can do to reduce that, but you can't prevent it entirely, or customers who are essentially committing fraud against you, trying to steal your money, steal your product, get the thing for free, garbage customers you don't want. When you do everything right, though, you have all the information right in front of you, showing that they bought the product, showing that they agreed to the terms of the product, showing that they've been using the product, showing that they've been receiving the product in email every month or whatever kind of product or service you're delivering, of course, tracking information if it's a physical thing, proving to the credit card company that you, the company, the business, the merchant, are in the right, that you sold a product or a service to a customer, and this customer is unfairly trying to take advantage of the system using the chargeback process to essentially try to steal from you. I've had a lot of experience with this. I've done this. I've had a lot of trial and error on this. The benefit of that American Express situation that I talked about, the business before I took over was essentially ignoring those, so they had a huge backlog of disputes there that needed to be challenged. And guess who that task fell upon? Myself. But the best way to learn anything is through trial and error and relatively quick feedback on that. So you try something, you send those disputes out, you see if you win or lose, and you adjust from there. What do you need to win? What do you need? What should have been in there? What caused you to lose? They don't give you much feedback, but you do get some of the time, depending on the platform that you're on. But in any case, there's definitely such a thing as too many chargebacks. Really, any chargebacks are too many chargebacks. It means you're essentially attracting shitty people as customers. Because as a customer, if you buy a thing and don't like it, or change your mind, or something like that, and you don't even try to contact the company and say, hey, I thought this was good, maybe it's not for me, I'll switch to another product, or can I have my money back? You don't even try. You just call the credit card company and say fraud. You don't want that customer in your business. That's a low-quality person you're never going to make any money off of. They're never going to learn or benefit from whatever you're selling either. They're just out to take advantage and get things for free. Some people behave in a shitty fashion, I guess is what I'm saying. And you're not running a charity. You're running a business. You're not running a nonprofit organization to rehabilitate the shitty little people of the world. You're running a business selling a product or service to help people to make money, and these people have no place in either of that. So that's why anybody who files a chargeback is immediately blacklisted. If it's up to me, they can never buy again. If you don't have the ability to do that in your software, create it. You cannot have these people around. They will buy chargeback, buy again, chargeback again. Somehow it's fraud every time. They keep buying the same thing, and suddenly it's fraud again. Oh, they never told me. But most businesses don't know what to do here, and the situation just gets out of control, and they essentially lose every chargeback they get. This is bad for the business, obviously, because they lose money, they lose reputation with the credit card company. They could be put at risk of their payment processor declining them if it gets bad enough. But also, it's bad from a macro perspective in that it trains these shitty customers to think that they can just file a chargeback, get their money back, take the product for free, and have no consequences befall them. Now, they're probably right most of the time because most businesses don't know what they're doing. Most businesses don't do anything with this, especially small businesses, online information products, that sort of thing. They don't do anything with this, so they end up losing. Customer ends up getting the product for free and their money back. And in many cases for subscription products, these companies don't even know enough or don't even realize that when the customer's filing a chargeback and winning, he's essentially getting the service for free. So you at least need to cut off the service from that point forward, and a lot of businesses don't. So for example, a yearly subscription, somebody buys it today, they file a chargeback next week, and they continue to receive all the updates for an entire year without paying for it. Now, it doesn't cost you anything to deliver the information. That's the nice thing about an online information product business. Basically zero marginal cost. But you're training people to file these fraudulent chargebacks and making them expect to win, because they usually do, making them expect to get things for free because they usually do. And that's a problem. And that's why I do these videos. That's why I write about this customer service stuff on Quora in response to questions and on the website 8020service.com. That's also why I put together the 8020 Service Guide, which I'm selling on there. It helps people get everything in customer service right. Like I talked about, you do a few specific things. It takes care of your chargeback problem, it takes care of refund problems, it takes care of excess questions, it takes care of all sorts of things, and adds some nice profit to your customer service department. And it makes winning any chargebacks you do get much, much easier. So that's why I do all this stuff. I want to help businesses get this stuff right, benefit from my years of experience. But that's my answer to this question, keeping it simple. Yes, there is such a thing as too many chargebacks. I'm going to wrap this video up here, but like I've said many times, I do one of these videos every weekday on a customer service question. I've been taking them from Quora, so if you're watching there, you can ask me any questions on Quora about customer service. I may answer them in a future video. If you're watching on YouTube, leave it in the comments. I may answer that as well. Follow, like, subscribe, thumbs up, all that good stuff. And since today's Friday, I'll be back Monday with another video.